Hey, good evening to all of you. Okay, yeah, really sorry the internet messed up in between. All right, I just believe I'm audible enough. Okay, sorry guys, I will not keep you also for so long. The funny part is that since this application requires being connected to the internet, I tried ensuring that, yeah, this doesn't happen, but at times we can't just help it, you see. So something like this is something that is kind of beyond it's beyond my control. So sorry about that, guys. Let's see how far we can go before the internet disconnects again. And so if that happens, what will happen is that I will kind of push out the completed stuff. But yes, let's see how far we can go before any other thing happens. Okay, so having said that, guys, let's just start. So if you remember yesterday, we reached to a certain extent, right? So 1 minute, this also refuses to move. All right. Okay, so this is what we are going to do. We will continue with this. Yesterday, we were able to work on something like this. So we looked into this. Let me just annotate for some time. So we looked at this, the tkinter canvas, right? And then we kind of see how we customize the background, right? And then how we actually connected to the API. And then we are here, right? So let's just minimize this and get back to this. So a couple of things we did yesterday. We kind of, 1 minute, I'll end this. So we kind of downloaded the necessary icons, yes? So we got this, which was kind of our title icon, and we've seen this as a background, and then we have some certain things here, no problem. So let's just open this and see what happens. I think, yes. Okay, we are here. Let's just run this and see if we are still on the right track. Okay, so this was what we did yesterday, okay, and that was a part of the project, but this is the finished project, right? So in here we had something like this. So we had something like that, and over there we are supposed to get this. Okay, you see, I think the net is down. Okay, so let me just repeat what I have done actually. So I tried to kind of put you guys through what we were doing, right? So first thing, this is where we wanted to get to. Okay, so let's change another city, Bangalore. Okay, and then if we click on this, we're able to get this, right? Fine. And this is our end product, and for now this is where we are. Okay, so for now here is where we are. Okay, so if we type, even if we type Bangalore, okay, nothing is going to happen. We click on check weather, simply is printing hello world. Okay, so this was what we did till yesterday, right? And we said, okay, fine, we needed to get this entry, whatever text box, into what? Let it be printed here in the console, right? Whatever I enter here, let it be printed. Even if I didn't enter anything, also is printing hello world. Okay, so this is just to test whether this button is working or not. Since we agree that the button is working, okay, so we now need to use the what get method now to pull whatever that is inside there into what? Our display, okay, our text box. So that's why we now come back here. So, okay, fine. Instead of using this, right? So we're going to use this method now, okay. So here, what exactly do we need now? We want this to happen when on the click of a button, okay, and that was called what? Test case, okay, just to say hello world, and then I want to take whatever is inside there. Maybe I'll say, okay, I called it entry, okay. Now I say hello world, comma, entry, fine. Now, if this is it, then I need to say, okay, fine, get whatever is here, right? So it's not called weather, we called it what? Test case for now. Test case, okay. So here, this is it, fine, dot what? Entry, okay. Now let's run this and see if it is getting closer to what we expected. I will now say, how are you? Okay, how are you? Now if I type how are you, it's going to tell me, okay, you see here, now it's working, right? Hello world, how are you, right? So we now know, okay, fine, this guy is working. But this is not what we wanted, right? We want to kind of display it inline, right? So in this test frame. So if you look here, we want to print it here, right? In this lower frame, right? We want to print it here, okay? So this is what we wanted, and we're like, okay, fine, take care. Whatever we take there, let's print it inside here, okay? Done. Now, before that, let's ensure that our what? We are actually connected to the API, the weather API. So for that, we now say, okay, we don't need this function. Agreed. So we're going to do away with this test function now. Okay, so this test function is done. So to keep its data simpler, to avoid confusion, we deleted this, right? Fine. So before we define this function, okay, before this function, we have actually tested it and it's working. So let's get back here now. Okay, now in this case, now we needed some stuff, right? So that's why we said, okay, let's go and take this weather API, and we took help from Google yesterday, if you remember vividly. We now asked Google, we needed access to what? Weather API. Okay, so we called it like this, weather API, right? Fine. So you can see it here. Okay, so once we click on this now, it takes us to what? A place where we have to sign up. We've seen that yesterday. Now we have signed up. What are we interested in, right? So you see here, hourly forecast for 4 days, one API call or something like that. We go to API. Okay, now we go to API. In case if you're not signed up, obviously it will prompt you to sign up, right? So now on this API, fine, this is what I needed. Okay, it says current weather API. Fine, I need hourly forecast for 4 days. Fine. Now daily forecast for 16 days. Fine. And see, all of them are in what? JSON and XML formats, JSON and XML formats. So one called API, maybe I needed something like this current weather data, right? So this is what I needed. So this will give me overnight timestamp and things like that, and I'm going to get it in so many stuff. Okay, so I'm interested in this. Fine, I'll click on this API stuff. Okay, now API doc. Now you see here, what I need is what now? I need to get this stuff, okay, when I call it, right? API.openWeather, whatever.this.help data, right? So you see weather, fine. Now, if you go down here, we see we can actually pass this as a query string, right? Example of the API course, fine. Now, this is it. And then we now go down and we see that, okay, this is how, and actually these are optional codes, right? The zip code, you can pass it, is optional, okay? If that holds true, what you have to do is, you see how it will be returned. It will be returned like this. What can you make out here? Some coordinates, longitude, latitude, the weather, okay? It is clear and the sky is clear. And then some station thing and some main temperature is around 282. I think this should be Fahrenheit. And then minimum temperature is 280, maximum is 284, pressure is this much, humidity is 100. Visibility, wind speed is at 1.5, I think kilometer per hour at this much stuff, and cloud is something like this, okay? So we needed to see this, right? So for us to do that now, we now say, okay, fine, I'm going to copy this, the query string, okay? So this is it, okay? Example, I don't need this one, actually, I need this example of this API call, fine? Or I'll take it from here, no problem, because I need the city ID and I need that. Now I copy this guy. Now I'll come back here, okay? So instead of saying we are just kidding or something like that, I'll just paste this here. Now this is one thing, right? Another thing I need is my what? API key. Where do we get that? So we go back here. Okay, get into this. I need here, right? So my API will be what? Unique one. Agreed? So if I go there, I needed sign up is saying to use the forecast and things like that. It should be there actually. We copied this, right? So look here, get API key. That's on the free tier one, right? So I come here to API keys, and then I just copy this, fine. So this is a unique key which I needed. So I'm gonna copy this now. I'll get back there, and I'll paste it here, comment it out. Let me see if it has changed. It has not changed. So it's unique for me alone, okay? So even if you hack into this, obviously I don't need it. It's just for demo purpose. So for that, I said, fine, let's call it the weather key, okay? And then if you see this URL, look here, guys. So this URL was here till weather. Agreed. Now till weather, I'm not saying, okay, so I need city ID and I need the API keys. Fine. So I called it URL. And because of that, you see by default, there was no HTTPS. So you have to add HTTPS. Okay. Fine. And two things I wanted to do. Initially, you can actually look into the forecast. Okay. So let's run the two and see the difference. And then finally, we go look into the weather. Okay. So now this is 2.5 / whatever data / whole thing. So it's there. And one thing that interests us is what? Okay, the units. So if we go back there, we saw this yesterday, but let's see, it will still be there. Okay. So if we get back here, I think, go back, API. So we saw the unit, right? So if we click on this documentation, and we get down, we see this is it. Okay, fine. The city and the API key, the units. So look here, units optional, right? So, but what is required? Please pay attention. The ID is required, right? The app ID is also required. Now, the mode is optional. Whether I want it in XML or HTML is optional. But use mode, whatever, by default, it is what? JSON. Okay. So if I want to change it, I have to take mode argument as well. Now, language is also optional. Now, what interests us is what? Measure, the units of measurement. We have standard, we have metric, we have imperial. Okay. So if you do not use the units parameter, standard will be applied by default. Okay. So let's try this now. Instead of imperial, I'm going to use the metric system of whatever measurement, or I use the standard. So for that, you might do a little slide on this standard versus metric versus imperial units of measurement. So we say standard versus metric versus what? Imperial, right? So what's the difference between imperial and metric? What is the difference between standard, imperial, and this one? Okay, so somebody must have asked this question. Most countries use the metric system, right? Obviously, that is meters and grams, and that is what we actually use in. Agreed? So fine. So is imperial metric or standard? You see here, metric everybody uses, but imperial is little different, like we have foot pounds, whatever, things like that. So for now, this is what we needed. So we asked, okay, fine. The unit I'm choosing now is what? Metric, okay? So I want to try metric now. Now, after this, now what I need to do, I need to print this, okay? So look here. So I'll print this one, right? So I called it what? Weather, okay? Of the name of the weather, then the description and that. Okay, but before that, let me just show you what happens here, okay? So till here is fine, okay? So I needed this, and I needed that, fine? But before actually taking this guy, yeah, so the key is there, everything is there, fine. So I will just turn this into what? I'll comment this out first now. I'll just turn this into a JSON object, okay? By default, it's going to return that. So I was okay, fine. I wanted it as what? JSON object, okay? So, and this is the entry to your root. So till here, this is what we are supposed to do, okay? So now, what I will do is, okay, fine. This is fine, and then when I click on this, I'm going to use no more test case. I'm going to use what? Get what? Weather. Fine. GET weather. Fine. Okay. So that holds true. Now this is fine. Okay. Now I was okay. Fine. Control Shift F10. Let's see. Okay. Okay. Yes, obviously. So the response object is not defined because I really need to say, okay, fine, what exactly am I taking? So whether I'm just taking it into this what, gets what, response dot, come back here. So I needed this. So till here is fine. I say, okay, fine. Before I print this now, I need to store it in this object. I'll say response, okay, is equal to, I'll say, okay, request dot something, okay? So now, before now, since I'm saying request dot, so now look here. So it's going to say request dot get some stuff, okay? Now, what are all the methods that are present in this? So when I say request dot get, I need to pass what now? The URL and what? The parameters. I'll say URL, fine. And then I'll say parameters, fine. This parameter equals what? What did I call it there? Param, right? So because of this now, I need to import what? Request. So you go up here, you say import request. Now, if you don't have it, right, we did that yesterday. So if it says request is not defined or something like that, you need to go to your terminal. You say pip install requests. So why do we need this request, right? We are making calls towards the weather API. So you can say request what do you call it? API, right? Weather API. Okay, request Python weather. So something like this. So because of that, it's going to show you something here, how to connect weather API using request. Fine. So this is it. So find the current weather of any city using OpenDisk. So that is also there. Okay. There's also a video tutorial to this. So you just need that, and then you need this too. Fine. And that's it. So you have to import request. You can also import JSON, no problem. So before that, you have to install it down. Now let's see. Control Shift. Okay, fine. And then this guy. Okay. Control Shift F10. Okay. So if we type something here now, we say myself or something like that, and say check weather. Now I hope this should work. 1 minute, so this is fine. And then I printed. Okay, no worries. So since this is fine, I need to kind of print this response, right? So I'm not printing it, it's getting it, but I'm not actually printing it. So I can wrap it here. I say print print response.json. Okay, so we needed it in JSON format, no problem. So Control Shift F10, fine. So if I type this guy again and just click on that, okay. So if you look, something happened down, right, guys? So did you see this? Okay, I'm going to clear this now, clear all output. Okay, so pay attention, guys. So this is done. I use this parameter, right? So request.get parameter, the URL I passed into it, and then I pass what? The URL is this, right? Then I pass what now? The parameters, which is what? The weather key, which consists of my unique key, right? The app ID. And then I needed the city, and I needed the unit, which is in metric, right? Fine. So this is fine. I now need to do what now? Print this response, right? So I can actually wrap it around here, but I want it in which format? JSON format. So I can actually say I wanted it in XML format. So for now, let's get it in JSON format. Now, Control Shift F10. Now enter any city of your choice. I'll enter Bangalore. Okay. Now if I enter Bangalore and I click on check weather, now you see something is printed here. So we drag it up just to see. Okay. Now I think you click on this too. This is lengthy. See, in case, look here, guys, this is soft wrap. So I need to kind of let these two, overflow, kind of overlap each other, right? So here, look here, it's so lengthy that you might think, oh, you didn't get the whole thing. But once you click on this soft wrap, now you see the coordinates is this, message is this, something is that. Now look at this list, okay? So in this list, I don't know what DT stands for, maybe some stuff. Now look at the main temperature. What is temperature in my Bangalore now? 22.8. Okay, 22.8. It feels like it is 22.9. So what's the minimum temperature? 19.01. What's the maximum temperature? 22.8. The pressure is at this much, I think, kilopascal or something. At sea level, it is 1017. At ground level, it is 914. Humidity is 68. The wind at this speed is 40 something, and at this much degrees and stuff like that. Visibility is something else, and then the pressure. Okay, so you see, this is an entire list of some stuff. Okay.